Real estate, investing, local market trends, feel-good stories, mindsets, and strategies for success. Let us know what you want to talk about, and chances are we will. Hosted by The Broker Joe and co-hosted by Etch.
Welcome to The Broker Show. I'm The Broker Joe, and I'm just thrilled that you tuned in and are listening wherever you're driving, wherever you're sitting, eating lunch, in the car, in the office, at work, at home. Appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time, and hopefully we have been covering topics that you are interested in, and if not, you're at least interested in something that we're saying or doing. Maybe just because we're so crazy, because I'm here with Etch. He's the crazy one. I'm not crazy.
Things have been nuts for me. Like crazy.
Etch is having a week over here, man.
Dude, I never thought that purchasing a new to me used car was going to be so rough, but I mean, I've been through the ringer. I came out on top, thank God.
It's a rough story, but my goodness.
We'll spare you the details, but make sure, if I can give you any advice whatsoever, is just make sure you do all of your research and who you're buying from.
Yep.
Like I'm talking like every little detail.
Yep.
So we'll just leave it at that. So,
all right, we'll leave it at that. Let's move on to better and brighter things. It's been a busy season for us, as you know, real estate.
Oh, yeah.
This is the haymaking time. It is midsummer. It is everyone's trying to get everything done before school, before fall, before winter, before snow, before whatever is coming around. I mean, mask mandates are lifted. A lot of people are out. All the capacity limits are lifted. People are out in force, and they're selling, they're buying, they're moving, they're stirring. So very busy time. But today we're going to talk about something that I think I briefly touched on it once in the past, but this is a big topic. It's the vacation rental topic. Michigan has become one of the top 3 states in the United States for vacation rentals. A lot of people taking their lakefront cottage or shack and fixing it up and making a legitimate secondary income. Mm-hmm. So before I launch into this, this afternoon, I was talking to a friend in Grand Rapids. You know what? He VRBOs his place for $7,000 a week. A week. I did not stutter. $7,000 a week.
Crazy.
Now, that is not atypical, okay? Right. That's not atypical. You can make good money. I don't want to pretend like it's, there's diamonds scattered on the ground. Anyone will come and throw money at you. There's a lot of competition. Competition is stiff. He has a beautiful $1 million home down on the lakefront, right? It's just a gorgeous place. But if you're strategic and if you pay attention and make the right moves, there's a lot of people I've seen casually introduce themselves into this business. It's not the way to go. We're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Oh, I got a good horror story for you, too.
There is a ton of potential here, Etch, and a lot of people doing it, a lot of people finding success with it. The ROI is phenomenal. Once you get good at it and do the right little steps, it's really the entry that is the challenge, right? The entry is the challenge. So let's hear the horror story. I can't focus now.
Recent.
I can't focus. So, there's a horror story. In play.
This is recent. Okay, so this last weekend was my fiance's bachelorette party.
Okay,
And so for it, her sister, who's her maid of honor, she's like, "Don't say anything, but I've got us a vacation rental." Sweet. That was an Airbnb. Yeah. And it was through her, it was somebody that they knew through a friend or something like that they were just trying to break into this whole new world of Airbnb. Mm-hmm. So they wanted what was it, like for the night that was like $400, which I mean, when you think about it, but I believe
it's not cheap, but it's a nice place. Sounds like. Yeah.
Well, it was. When you look at the place, it was like really nice. It was like the whole quarters, but it got weird. And this is like something to where, I mean, it depends on what you're looking for. Yeah. So again, this is something that you do more of your research on, see what's going to happen. This was one of the first times that they had decided to do Airbnb. So they were like, okay, let's do this. They had 2 dogs.
Okay.
Dogs ended up being everywhere while they were there, which is fine. They all love dogs. Yep. However, dog hair all over everything, not clean.
Hold on. Yeah. Now, the owners of the Airbnb had dogs? Or what?
Yep. And then they also stayed in the home in just the bottom. And like the guy was like coming up and like knocking on the door. I'm like, "Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to let you know if you were here." So it was more like a bed and breakfast.
Well, then. Okay.
So it was very different, but at the same time,
different.
They were like, and they were apparently really nice people, just ill-prepared for what the Airbnb lifestyle is, which is usually clean, super fresh. Everything is good. I mean, there was dog hair all over their clothes, all over their bags, all over everything. Heaven forbid somebody went in there with like allergies to a dog and didn't know it going into it. But I mean, what was really cool is they played DD for the girls.
Okay.
So they brought them out and they're like, no, have fun.
Nice.
We'll drive you around. So there were pros and cons to it.
There were pros and cons.
At the end of the day, they were like, we're only giving you half of what it was because this was really not the experience that you had said that it was going to be.
So that is actually interesting. We're going to cover the topic and the reason why that kind of experience is possible at certain type of vacation homes you go to. But first, let's dive into it. So we're just going to touch some light topics, some questions that a lot of people have. We're going to rip through it. There are two primary websites that you can be a host on, and it functions as a way to connect you with a consumer, right? And most of you have heard of Airbnb, right? And VRBO. Okay, so Airbnb, everyone asks what it stands for. Okay, it stands for literally Air, Bed, and Breakfast. AIR, Bed and Breakfast. That was the original name when it was founded back in 2008. They rebranded. It was Airbnb. Makes a lot more sense. Then you have VRBO, which is more obvious, vacation rental by owner. So VRBO been around the longest since 1995.
It's been around that long.
It's been around that long, okay? And so VRBO, something a lot of people are familiar with. They were the kind of the original masterminds of this whole concept. Rent out your place while you're gone, right? So VRBO, Airbnb, what are the differences? We're going to cover some of that. But one of the biggest differences, Etch, is so VRBO, Airbnb came into that space with kind of a different concept. Airbnb was the more modern, edgy. VRBO, you can only rent out an entire space on VRBO. It's for a house or a chalet or a cottage or a something like that. It's got to be an entire space. Airbnb, you can rent out anything. You could rent out your closet. You could rent out your bedroom. You could rent out anything. Your basement. Your outhouse. Anything.
I rented out a converted garage once.
Sure.
Down in Orlando.
Oh, did you really?
One night, I went down to pick up my daughter, and I was like, I have to stay the night because I couldn't get a flight the next day.
Perfect.
So I'm like, cool. And they're like, hey, we have a garage. I'm like, is it converted? They're like, yeah. I'm like, sweet.
So that is Airbnb. You can do anything. So here comes Airbnb, a little more edgy. You see some crazy things out there. A friend just texted me a picture of an Airbnb that he was at with his wife just a couple hours south. It's a pyramid. It's
that's
a freaking legit pyramid, dude.
Yeah.
And you can stay inside this pyramid, right?
That's awesome.
It's crazy. There's a lot of crazy stuff. So Airbnb comes into the scene, begins to grow in popularity, a lot of crowdfunding, not crowdfunding, but a lot of venture capital money pouring into that company. And VRBO kind of counters with the don't share, right? So I don't know if anyone remembers the VRBO commercials from 2014, 15, 16, somewhere in there. It was all this, we don't share, find your own space and don't share with anyone, right? So they started to differentiate themselves, right, from Airbnb. So Airbnb, a lot of cool features though on Airbnb. You can Airbnb, you can sort it a little bit better. Airbnb lets you, they have this like experience section of Airbnb. You can go and book this experience. What was the one I was looking at in Florida? I just lost it. It was this really cool experience that the host actually put together. They would set this experience up in the backyard. It was something fun, but we ended up not doing it. But the experience thing is really taking off. And you pay a premium on it, but the owners facilitate this experience. They either set it up at a local place wherever you can do it, or at the Airbnb itself, or whatever's going on. Really, really cool, right? So one thing I've always liked about VRBO, though, and I've stayed in dozens and dozens of both Airbnbs and VRBOs, all over the place, in Michigan and Florida and in between. And overseas. Airbnb is very popular overseas. But one of the things that I really love VRBO is the reviews are really transparent. I like being able to respond to a review. As a business owner, someone posts a review, I love to be able to respond either thank you, I appreciate you, awesome, thank you so much for taking the time to say these things, write these things, or hey, who are you? if it's a negative review, try to address it. Say, hey, give me a call, man, or come down to the shop. Let's talk this out. Let's figure this out. I don't know who you are, what you're talking about. Right. So I like the extra context and perspective that gives. Airbnb, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. You cannot. You won't have the seller respond to you. The seller can't respond. VRBO, you can. Right. The reviews are really important to me. It gives me a lot of insight. Even if there's negatives, I actually love to read the negatives, and I'll end up staying there. Right. If an owner's responding to negatives with, "Hey, here's what happened. Here's what's going on," right, then that really helps add some perspective and context to that listing, to that home. And I know the seller is going to be responsive. We were just at an Airbnb earlier this year. We walk in, it was 85 degrees inside. And we were like, oh. So I message. He fires right back. He says, hey, oh, no kidding. Yeah, that AC's been acting up. I'll have a guy out tomorrow. And I said, we've got a couple ladies here. Tomorrow isn't going to work, man. Yeah, we really need it. It's 85. We're from Michigan. And he goes, I'll have him out there in 45 minutes. So he showed up, and that is what really makes a difference. And if you are wanting to, there's a lot of tips. There's a lot of things to learn, but you got to be transparent as an owner about the drawbacks of your property as well, right? There's no property perfect, so you have to be really honest with exactly what's going on. You have to be engaged. You have to be very responsive. If you launch an Airbnb or VRBO and first client shows up, toilet breaks, kinks are getting worked out, right? It's your first time renting it.
Right.
Something doesn't work, something doesn't open, something doesn't fire up, who knows what it is. If you can't be responsive, if you don't have a carpenter, contractor, repairman, maintenance man somewhere right there to take care of it, you are going to be off to a very rocky start, my friend. Yeah. A very rocky start. Because that first review is going to be negative. Good luck renting it after that unless you dig into the bottom of the barrel in the pricing, right? So let's talk about pricing. So Airbnb, VRBO, they both have very different, some similarities, very different price structures. So Airbnb charges the host and the guest fees, okay? So the guest is paying... I'm paying, if I go, most of the ones I pay are like 10 to 15%. I know that somewhere they're a little lower, but it's usually 10 to 15%. And then the host, it's 3% for every single booking. You charge 3%. And so VRBO it's similar. Guests are between 6 and 12%. But what I love about VRBO and my next VRBO that I own, right, that I run, I really think I'm going to use VRBO. They have a subscription option. You pay $500 a year, and you're done. And you're done paying them.
That's not bad.
And the guests pay the rest of the fees, right?
That's kind of nice.
Now, it is really nice. Now, you can do more of a pay to play, but it's high. It's 8%. So you're giving away 8% every booking. I think it's like 5%, and then there's like a 3% card fee or something like that. But you can pay a subscription for your VRBO, that's $500 for the year, and you get to run this on this amazing software. The ultimate goal to me, and from the people that I know that have VRBOs, and I've sold a lot of them. I have listed and sold so many of them, and I just listed and sold one for a lady up in Cadillac on Lake Mitchell, and beautiful VRBO, sold it. The transition's always a little tricky, but we're able to pull it off. My advice, set up your own website. Initially, you're not going to get the traffic. Initially, you're not going to have all the action, but set up your own listing website. Drive your traffic there, social media, ads, ad campaigns, whatever you got to do, right? VRBO, Airbnb, they won't let you link to your website. Right. That's the last thing in the world they want, right? They want people staying inside of their ecosystem and getting used to their software and enjoying it and so on and so forth. But once you build your rapport and you have a client base and you have people accustomed to your website, you send them to your website. And then 5 years down the road, you may be able to disconnect, right? And leave the nest of Airbnb, VRBO.
Clientele that are coming regulars. We love that area. We love the lake.
Exactly.
Now this is our family.
It's made a name
getaway.
for itself, right? You actually might start showing up in searches, people searching areas, right? You can go Google Ads another way. So there's a lot of money to be saved there, I would say. But it's really, really fun to me. And I think to a lot of people, the idea is really attractive. And the idea of having people come from all over the country, potentially the world, to stay in your place and enjoy the unique experience. That's the key, unique experience that you offer. As a VRBO Airbnb shopper, the description in spite of me knowing better, the description is what sucks me in first, right? I'll shop the top descriptions. So you got to have a unique experience. You got to have a good description. It might seem obvious, but you'd be shocked at how it can be challenging to come up with a descriptor and pictures that differentiate you from the vast array of other Airbnbs or VRBOs out there. There's a lot of them, right? So you want to find separation. You want to find separators. If you've got something unique, you got something cool, guys, you should really consider slapping it in Airbnb.
Yeah.
You got something really nichey, something sweet. It could be, like I said, it could be a closet. It could be I'm being facetious, right? But it's something really cool that you could rent out. You would be surprised at the extra income that you could make. I know people making $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year off of VRBO. I also know a lot of people making 20. The vast majority are making 20, 25, 15, 30.
Hey, that's still
a lot of people. That's a phenomenal second income.
Taking care of your mortgage.
That's a huge
car
deal.
payments.
Oh yeah,
I mean all those things. I mean,
it's a difference maker.
Yeah.
You could put kids through college with that. You could do a lot of things with that. So, but you've got to be flexible. You're working in the hospitality industry. That's what a lot of people are not ready for. They're not ready to keep people happy. People that feel very differently about things than you do. Okay? There's some things we can all agree on. I think the vast majority of people would agree that 85 is a little warm, a little tough to go to sleep in 85.
I wouldn't be able to do it.
Right. I simply couldn't go to sleep.
68 to even lower kind of guy.
Perfect.
Like it's got to be that. I mean, and that 68 is an agreed upon number. With me cutting slack. If I had my way, it'd be 65.
Yeah. I've just seen some downfall with people that have this personality clash. They take things very personally. You can't. You have to set it aside, and you have to pretend that you are a server, you're a waitress, you're serving someone, and learning from that experience and over the top, I am so sorry. What can I do to make it up for you? All those things, especially initially, right? When you can't pick, you can't choose a pick. Also, initially, your pricing is going to be a little more dynamic when you start off, because you're trying to break in. You don't want to go super cheap, bottom of the barrel, but you got to be a little more dynamic. The other part of dynamic pricing that I actually like about Airbnb and VRBO both, Airbnb being especially adept at the dynamics, is it'll help you price it out and say, hey, your listing's getting cold, or this is the cold season, or this is a really quiet weekend, or this is a quiet week. It'll help you adapt your pricing to those fluctuations in the market, in the demand. And so you don't skimp out on the experiences. It's all about that unique experience for your client. There is so much fun and satisfaction to be had in really making a unique experience for for these people. And after a while, I remember going to one in Lewiston, Michigan. Yeah, it was Lewiston, Michigan, a couple hours north. Little fishing.
That's where my cousin's from.
Oh, is it really? Yeah. Little fishing town up there. They got a bunch of little lakes. So rented it, brought some guys up there. We went fishing. And when I booked it, I was just like, oh, look, I mean, I'm a fly. I mean, I plan some things ahead of time. Other times, and you know this, I'll be like, oh, I'm in Peru. Yeah. And that's like, what? I was like, I got a week. Let's go. So this was one of those. I looked and I was like, okay, let's go. And so we're in Lewiston, and the lady messaged me and says, you are so lucky you got in. Someone canceled. It's actually a longtime client that canceled because they got sick. So turns out we chat, and every summer for her are booked by people that have been coming there for years and years. She has no new clients. They're all people that have booked a year. As soon as they're there, they're booking for the next year and the next year, and she's got it all set out for them, right? So imagine having that kind of clientele. They already love you. They already wrote the great reviews. They're coming back over and over and over again, right? That's the goal long term, right? Then you disconnect from Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway, all the other sites. HomeAway, by the way, is another really big one. I believe HomeAway, though, is part of the VRBO network. It's kind of a side.
So they have
it's
like
owned
side stuff.
Correct. Owned by VRBO. They've got quite a network going there. But anyway, there's a lot to look forward to if you're going to be a successful VRBO owner or vacation rental owner, I should say. But you got to get off to the right foot. A couple cool things I want to add. There is a program. It's called HomeSwap. you can look in whatever, almost any country in the world, right, that it would be safe to do this type of venture in. And you can find homes to swap.
And they come stay at yours.
They stay at yours.
You stay at theirs.
And you stay at theirs.
That's really cool. I like that idea.
My wife and I have considered this.
Yeah.
Right? We've considered it. We have a home we think people would love to come to maybe. And we've looked at homes elsewhere and gone, man, that'd be sweet, right? Yeah. So there's a compatibility. It's almost like Tinder for houses, right? So you put it up there and if someone likes your home, they could, exactly. They like that one. So there's also a new concept. It's called we're going to talk about something else because I can't remember. I'll describe it. I can't remember what it's called, but I will in a second. Inspirato is a company that they make experiences. It's a subscription. Okay. So I pay, it's expensive. It's $2,500 a month.
Whoa. For
$2,500 a month, you get to go for a week anywhere in the world inside of their ecosystem.
That's cool.
Anywhere in the world. These houses, I'm talking about a house way up on a cliff in the Swiss Alps.
That's cool. Right.
An experience that would cost you $7,000 a week or $10,000 a week, right? We were talking about earlier. Yep. But so you get a discount as a membership. You're not going to use it. The reality is most people don't use it every month, right? That's how the business model works. It's like health insurance, right? You don't use it, it helps everyone else that needs it, right? So, but really cool concept, Inspirato, right? Anyone have $2,500 a month they want to shell out and go and travel the world? Maybe one day, right? But there is another one that is really, really cool. You can actually, I can't remember the name of it. I actually had an opportunity to be an early investor, and I chose not to. I thought it was a little silly. Well, a lot of people are really, really liking it. And you can buy, it's a company that buys properties and then sells you. It's different than a condo. It's different. They're buying a home, and they're selling you a percentage like a quarter of the home, right? And like I was looking at their website the other day, and I could buy a quarter of a home that Justin Bieber owns a quarter of in Nevada.
Yeah.
Saw it. It's up in the mountains near a ski resort, right? Yeah. And I could buy a quarter of that house for $1.2 million.
And then you can go and stay there
and we all get our times. We all there's this way that it all works together. Y'all figured it out.
I hate to say it this way, but it's almost like timeshare, but in a more like
it's a little more of a personalized, way. Not a scammy way. You actually get a deed,
right?
You actually get a deed. You own part of real estate,
right?
Like a house, right? Not a timeshare. Timeshare is very, very different real estate piece, right? Yeah. But this is like I own a home. I own 25% of this property, right? So essentially what they're doing is they're facilitating ownership with people that are all vetted and all of the same mind, right? They want to make sure your income and who you are and background checks and all this stuff, right? It's this very vigorous process to go through, but then you get to share this home with people that you know are going to be
walking out and be like, "What's up, Beebs? How's it going, man?"
Exactly.
Hey, I made the bed for you.
Exactly.
Don't you worry. We got you.
Yeah. So and evidently these people end up kind of getting to know each other. And who knows? But a very interesting concept. We're probably running out of time.
Getting close.
Okay. But these are some cool ideas. I just went through just a few of the diverse home sharing, home swap, home renting, vacation rental options here. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there. People I think it is a society thing. Yeah. I think it's a culture thing. We're changing. We like to get out in Europe. Do you know that in Europe, they take vacation 2 to 3 months a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gone 2 to 3 months a year.
Yeah, I worked in timeshare down in Florida. Yeah, and I used to sell timeshare. Got out of it because I was like, this is so ridiculously scammy. Yeah. But like there would be people that would come over from like Ireland and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, we're on holiday," and you're like,
"On holiday."
And
that's right.
Holiday.
That's right.
Like, that's their term for vacation.
It is.
I'm like, so cool. Like how long you here for? And they're like, "Oh, well, we went to California for 2 weeks. We're over in Florida here for 3 weeks." I'm like, "What? How long do you get to just leave your job, dude?" He's like, 2 months. Yep. I mean, you get to just up and leave for 2 months.
Everyone gets a mandatory. I say everyone. I mean, it's a standard. It's like, oh, do I get 2 weeks paid vacation? They get 2 months. 2 months paid vacation. They work 7 days a week, right? is what most of them do.
Yep.
I have relatives over there. My cousin. I mean, they work a lot. They work their butt off, and then they go and they leave. For
Work
2
hard,
months.
Play harder.
Some of them I know it's 3 months. I mean, it's 3 months if you got a really good job. Oh, we'll give you 3 months, right? You just travel the world.
Imagine hitting your 10-year seniority and being like, all right, cool, you got another month of vacation. And be like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm out.
What my question is, if I just don't take it for 3 years, do I get to take a year off, a paid year off?
Yeah, but
that's what I would do.
You don't
man.
get your job back afterwards. Though. This
right.
Be like,
they're like, we sold the company while you were gone. What?
Yeah. By the way, Pierre is at your desk when you walk back in, and you're like, "What are you doing?" He's like,
leaving for a year.
Oui.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. But hey, thank you for listening in, guys.
Yes.
If you like what we're talking about, you like what you're saying, want to follow along with us, go like us on Instagram, go like us on Facebook. And, go follow us on Spotify. Spotify, the podcast, that's the best place, I think, the easiest place to listen to us, follow along with what we're up to. And, today we learned a little bit more about vacation rentals. Any more questions about vacation rentals? I do know a lot. We tried to skim through some of it today. Would love to answer questions. Just shoot me a message, shoot me an email, something like that, and I'll get right back to you. And as always, stay safe, guys. Look forward to our next episode. I'm the Broker Joe.
I'm Etch.
And we are out.